everyone, this is Miranda, your personal development partner. You're very much welcome to Elevate. On this channel, we talk everything personal development, entrepreneurship, and technology. And the good thing is we are still on our series doing business across Africa, and today we are talking about doing business in Uganda. Yeah, you got me right, Uganda. So before we start, do you know that the beautiful river Nile that passes through Egypt and the one you've been hearing so much about gets its origin from Uganda? Yes, and today we'll be sharing more interesting and insightful facts about Uganda, how you can navigate the ecosystem when it comes to business. I have with me a very special guest. He'll be answering all the questions in your heart. He's a second-time founder, he's a software engineer, and he's a business guru. He's here to answer all your questions about doing business in Uganda. Stay with us. We will be right back. You're welcome once more to Elevate with Miranda. I have with me a very special guest, Samson Bruno from Uganda. Today he's here to share with us. He has started 2 companies already and they are very successful ones. He has a lot of insights when it comes to starting a business in whatever country. So he's here to share with you what it takes to start a business in Uganda, whether a foreigner or a local. He's here to answer all your questions. Thank you so much, Samson, for joining us today.
I am deeply humbled to be a guest on this channel. And thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So can you start by just introducing yourself? Tell us what you're doing right now. I see you're wearing something Intelli. Maybe you have some insights to share with us about Intelli.
Okay, so right now I am the Chief Product Officer and the Chief Technology Officer, filling in both roles at Intelli. Intelli is an AI customer support startup, and we're helping businesses better answer their customers faster and in a more timely manner. So what this does for businesses is it reduces the time they have to take to respond to inquiries that come from customers, especially at times when customers ask questions at awkward hours and they are off business. So AI is able to automate these responses for them, and they'll never lose a customer.
Okay, yeah. That's interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Is it already launched? Do you have the
Yes,
MVP
we
already?
have our first MVP with a couple of people who are testing. We're in the beta phase.
Okay.
And if you want to test, you just have to go to intelliconcierge.com, create an account, and we'll reach out to you to enroll in our beta testers.
Okay, so you can check the link in the description section below if you want to know more about Intelli. So right now, knowing that you're starting, is this the second company or the third company you're starting?
So by right, this should be the 4th company.
Oh, by right.
But yes, but when we go according to when we say established, this should be the 3rd.
Okay, so I think you've had a lot of experience. I just think you're the perfect person for this session today. You've had a lot of experiences starting businesses. Before we get into our topic proper, which is doing business in Uganda, can you tell us what is that thing that drives you into entrepreneurship?
For me, I feel
again and again.
That's a very nice question. I feel entrepreneurship for me is a calling. There's nothing in the world that would ever appeal to me as much as entrepreneurship does. I think the shift happened when I was in my high school, and it wasn't just a thing of dreaming about the titles and all. It was a thing of what can I do with my skill set? What can I do with the resources I have around me? What can I do to solve problems? So the thing is, and has always been, that every day I wake up, I'm looking at how can I use my network, how can I use my skills, how can I use my money, resources to solve a problem. And if I do get rewarded in the due course of solving that problem, well and good. So the thing that keeps me awake, honestly, every single day is entrepreneurship. And software becomes an enabler, honestly, in this case, because there's so many problems you could solve. But if you added software as an additional layer on to what you're doing with entrepreneurship, then you spark and create a wonderful impact with what you're doing.
Okay, that is very insightful. So are there some valuable lessons? I know maybe every company you start, you learn something new. Are there some valuable lessons you've learned so far in your entrepreneurial journey?
I'm going to pick one lesson from each of the startups.
Okay.
For my startup, my first startup, Votan Systems, it was a software company, but I didn't know how to write code. So what I was doing was collecting talents from all over the world. I had developers from India, I have developers from Uganda, I had developers from Kenya, and I think some were from Nepal. So what we're doing was create this pool of resources, and then I would reach out to businesses that wanted websites and wanted software made for them. And then I would move the tender to the team to create this software, and then we'd ship it for the business.
Wow.
But the difficulty was I didn't know how to handle and manage this team efficiently. So the first advice I would give to any founder is you have to equip yourself with immense resources each and every time, because you have to be constantly evolving. You can't manage a team that's growing faster than you. You have to be growing faster than the team and a faster pace. The second startup I started, TASA, was in a very specific niche area, because it's a topic that's close to my heart. I lost my uncle to a road accident. So when I had the opportunity to solve for a pressing need and something that was very dear to my heart, that is what was born with TASA. And we had 3 other wonderful entrepreneurs who started this journey with. One of them dropped off and remained 3. So including me, I was the CEO. We had a CTO and we had a COO, a lady. So what that startup taught me is you have to build around you a network of people to support you. You can't do this thing alone. There's never a time you're going to be successful to a tremendous capacity as an individual. You need people who believe in what you're building. You need people who can move and support the vision that you see. So that's the second lesson I learned. Find people who have or believe in the vision that you're building and can move with you to a longer journey. Then the third startup I built, Catalyst Africa, I co-founded with 3 other wonderful individuals. Taught me a very fundamental lesson. Have passion about the area it is you're solving. So data for me was a very big problem, because any startup entrepreneur on the continent will tell you, when you're trying to find data to back up your problems, to back up the statements, you're saying Africans need to shop more, but you don't have the data to show for that. You don't have the data. And it's not that the data is not there, it's just not accessible for you. Other continents, the Europes, the US, have made it so easy for you to access data. And then there's startups that have even been born out of this gold called data. Statista is one of them. Like, they hoard data from all over the world and they sell it. So that was the driving force. I was passionate about this problem, because when I was building my second startup, TASA, I was trying to find numbers on how many, let's say, borders are in Kampala, how many accidents happen in a year in Kampala. I didn't have that data. The sources I tried to get to had data, but it was outdated and it was not collated. So you'd go to the hospitals, they tell you a different number of people are coming in as casualties. You go to police, it's telling you a different number of people are reporting cases. When you ask the people down on the ground, they're telling you different numbers. So you don't know which of these data sources is the truth. What should I trust? So the first thing I said is grow yourself as an entrepreneur. Make sure you imbibe yourself with as much resources as possible, evolve. The second is always have a support system, people who believe in the vision you are building and can move with you. And the third is always be passionate about the problem you're solving.
So thank you. I think if we end this video here, you shared a lot already with our audience. So let's go into our main topic for today, starting a business in Uganda. So do you want to share with us, are there some interesting things you want to share? Just an overview about maybe the Ugandan ecosystem, tech ecosystem. How is it like at the moment?
So currently, the startup ecosystem in Uganda, we don't have a charter or a bill, but there's one in place that is being driven by the Startup Uganda organization. So Startup Uganda is a collection of ESOs, and ESOs, I think they are organizations that play in the space of startups. It's a collection of hubs, innovation hubs, and big industry players. So you have Innovation Village, which is one of the biggest. You have the National ICT Hub, which is funded and sponsored by the government under the Ministry of ICT and Innovation. You have Hive Collab. You have there's a couple of other hubs. So they come together under this umbrella body, and they come up with policies that they then present to the government to suggest to the government to move a bill that will enable startups live successfully and move freely. But currently, because the bill is not yet enacted and it's in place, I know government bills take time, but there's a structure that recognizes startups under what we call MSMEs. So they are medium and small enterprises. Yes, so under that structure, you can legally register your business, and within 30 days, you'd have your license, you'd be up and running, your taxes set and everything.
Okay, so the registration, does it happen online or you have to go?
So we have the URSP portal where you can go download all the documents that you need to. There's a form 3A and the form 4A. Once you fill in those forms and you submit them, you make the payments in the bank and show the receipt. They'll get back to you via email, and you just make a visit to the URSB offices to hand in the physical documents that they require of you. And once that's done, they check. So it's the periodic, like incorporation in the US happens. You have to key in a name. They'll search if the name you're trying to reserve has already been taken. If the name is not taken and it's available, they'll give it to you, and there'll be a holding period of 30 days until that 30 days, no one else can take that name. So once you hold the name, then you register and fill in all the other documents that they require from you. You'll be legally registered and you'll be up and set.
It sounds easy, let me say. What about for me as a foreigner? Is the process the same?
Okay, so as a foreigner, the dynamics are a bit shifting because they are trying to push for more of the native individuals to incorporate startups. You need to have a Ugandan director as part of your board at least. Or if not, you'd have to have a local Ugandan account with which houses your finances. Then your jurisdiction will change from a normal founder, it would become an investor. And I think the requirement should be around 50,000 US dollars. So as long as you have that amount in your bank account and you can show it as proof, the process will be extremely smooth for you.
So you're just having it in your bank account for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, that is good. But do I need any, like a visa, maybe business visa to get started?
So for most of because we are part of the East African community, individuals who are in the East African bloc, the 8 countries, so you're counting Kenya, you're counting Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Ethiopia, and recently South Sudan joined us. And I think I'm forgetting some other countries, but any country that's in the East African bloc is visa free. So I can cross over to Kenya, I can cross over to Tanzania with my East African passport, and they also can do the same. So they are recognized as residents of Uganda as much as I am recognized as a resident of Kenya. So for them, there's no restriction. They have a visa on entry. You come, you have about 6 months until you can get a visa. Like you no one will pressure you as long as you have your passport to identify you. For foreigners, especially, I think if you're coming from the part of West Africa, with Ghana, we have an understanding. So they don't require a visa to come to Uganda. We also don't require a visa to come to Ghana. For Nigeria, I think because there's not that much of cordial relationships, we just recently opened the direct flight from Entebbe to Lagos, but we haven't solved the visa part. So for us to visit Nigeria, it would be kind of hectic, but for them to visit, all they will need is to pay for the visa fee, which is like 50 US dollars.
Okay, so from what you say, I see Uganda to be very promising to entrepreneurs, talking about all the hubs that she's trying to sign and everything. But how easy is it? How do you see maybe competing with foreign players from Uganda as an entrepreneur in Uganda? Do you see it easy or maybe challenging to compete with other international players in the market?
So that I want to be very, very honest with you. It's one of the things that used to plague me when I was building the 2 startups I was building. The first startup I built, Votan Systems, was I didn't have that big vision of scaling. All I was trying to do was solve a problem for a business and get paid doing it. But I got to a point where I didn't even see, like, we had the internet, but I didn't even see the benefit that the internet gave me, because I've told you we had developers from India and some developers from China. So I didn't see that as a big thing. And where was I getting these developers from? Facebook. So I didn't even need to have a portal somewhere to go and hire these people. I just ran Facebook ads, and these people would apply. I get them in a group and then onboard them, and would have this session where I would talk. So the second startup that made me appreciate operating on a global scale was TASA, because the data we're trying to look for in the transport and road safety space was available elsewhere. Geneva has data, Switzerland has data, America has data on road accidents, North America has data, South America has data, Europe has data. They have data sets that the government exposes to the public. But Africa didn't. The only country, I think, in the African continent that had that much of robust data was South Africa. So it hurt me that much as I wanted to build a world-class solution, I didn't have access to the tools that would enable me to do the world-class things. And the only thing that I had was an advantage, but also a disadvantage at the same time was the internet. Because with this, you're competing at the same level, at the same pace as other people from other places, but you do not have the resources that they have. You do not have you've not had the time, the compounded time to gather all that experience like they've had. So that is the only part where we're lagging. But I know even our developer ecosystem is like around 14,000 individuals. Last I checked from the Google report published in 2021. I don't know if it has grown any larger than that, but try to compare it with South Africa, which is like 60,000. You can see two very varying 14,000 and 60,000. You can see the amount of things 60,000 developers in an ecosystem can do. Yes? So we do not have that many developers. We need to nurture that talent. And we do not have that much capital flowing into our nation. We also need to attract or create systems that favor investors to fly in, invest their money, and be content that my money can get out of this country anytime possible. And the third thing is we also need to nurture or create entrepreneurs. So in each of us, I believe there's an entrepreneurial spirit, but that spirit is sparked to life when you meet a certain event, a certain incidents that pushes you to the edge and you feel like I have to do something about this. I just can't sit and let nothing happen. So for each of us, there's a moment, there's a tipping point that happens. So I believe the people who can create an ecosystem that is nurturing the entrepreneurial spirits, you see more entrepreneurs bud up, and the more entrepreneurs bud up, the more it's the fundamental law of convergence of properties. When you have a magnet north, there will definitely be a south. So the more entrepreneurs you have, you'll have investors flowing in, you'll have more ideas bubbling, and your ideas become refined. That is what has made Silicon Valley what it is today. It's not that they are different. They've just had a lot of time gathering so many brilliant minds in one space with the necessary resources that they've become what they are to the world today.
Maybe you can gather all of those people like you. I think there's so many of you there in Uganda, and I think Uganda is so blessed to have you with your mindset and everything. Just need to gather all the Samsons together and you start something big.
I honestly hope and pray it was that easy.
So if you're watching this video, you're from Uganda, make sure you connect with Samson, look for him, connect with him, and make sure you start that next big thing in Uganda. I think you've shared with us a lot of insights, so many things. This has been so useful to our viewers. If you like this content, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel.
You had that right.
Thank you so much, Samson. I know there are a lot of people who want to be like you, like people from Uganda. Maybe they feel like, I want to be like this guy, the way he talks, his knowledge. I want to start businesses like him. What advice will you give to that person? Maybe the person has a dream like yours, but maybe there's a resistance in him. What advice will you give him as an entrepreneur?
The advice I want to give you, one of the people, like one of the biggest guys in the Ugandan ecosystem gave it to me at one point. We were seated in a hall and he was giving a talk. He said, the advice I give to you if you want to enter entrepreneurship, don't. But if you've started, don't stop.
Oh.
Because that is what it is, honestly. Once you don't start, once you're foolish enough to start, don't stop. But if you're not foolish enough to start, don't. I beg you, because it is going to be a very grueling journey. It is not a rosy path. It is not as beautiful as the news and the outside world might portray it. It has its benefits, it has its negatives. You're not working a 9-to-5 job. This is your daily job every single day. Weekend, public holiday, you've lost a parent, you've lost an uncle, there's no holidays for you. But what's thrilling on the other end is you build something with your sweat and blood, and it is something that can live long after you're gone. You build a legacy for yourself. The Coca-Colas you see today, the MTNs you see today, the Ubers you see today, the Apples you see today. Every time you mention Apple, the first thing that comes to your mind is Steve Jobs. Why? Because he imbued his spirit into Apple and the brand and what they are today. So
if you see this guy going for this over and over, first company, second, third, fourth, that means there is something in it. Go for it,
definitely.
guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I guess you enjoyed this, because I myself, I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed everything you share. So till we see next time, remember to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much, Samson.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.